Title reads, Simmons University, Office of Undergraduate Admission, Admission Process During COVID-19.
Hi, my name is Kate Innes, and I'm the Director of Admission at Simmons University.
A woman, 40s, sits in a brightly lit room and addresses the camera. Text reads, Kate Innes, Director of Admission.
We know that this year has been different and challenging for everyone. And we know that the college application process has also been affected. So I want to give my reassurances as the Director of Admission that we have found ways to weave flexibility throughout the admission process to make it easier for you. We know at Simmons that we are best when we put our students first. And so I want to take some time right now to walk through some of those changes and the ways we've adapted our process to be a little bit more flexible in these different times.
Text reads, Explore Simmons. Daily tours and information sessions, admission interviews, curated events, and virtual classes. Text reads, simmons.edu/ug/visit.
So we have a lot of ways for you to connect with us virtually. First of all, you can take a daily information session, tour, or interview, which are all virtual, either in Zoom or on the phone. We've also curated a series of events to help you find out more about Simmons, and you can sit in on our virtual classes as well and get to know what our professors and students are like. And then if you still have questions, definitely meet with your admission counselor one-on-one and ask all of your individual questions so you make sure you know the most about Simmons.
Text reads, Test optional. Test optional for 2021-22 academic year.
We know that so many students have limited access, if any access at all, to take standardized tests this year. So we wanted to make sure that students weren't taking any risks with their health and safety and the health and safety of the community by traveling great distances or taking other risks to try to take these standardized tests. So our admission review process has always been thorough and holistic, and while in the past the test scores have been a piece of the academic review, it hasn't been the most important piece. I would definitely say the most important piece has been the kinds of classes that students have taken in high school, the rigor of your curriculum, and the grades you've received in those courses have always told us more about your success in college than your test scores. So this year we revamped our review process to ensure equity across the board, both for students who submit test scores and students who don't submit test scores. So I just want to make sure that all the students know you are not at a disadvantage if you do not submit test scores. If you do have test scores that you've taken and you're wondering whether or not you should submit them, that is entirely your choice. And it may be helpful to know what our admitted student score ranges were in previous years. So if you're curious about that, that's definitely on our website, or you can talk to one of our admission counselors that might be able to help you figure out what's the best option for you.
Text reads, Test optional means test optional.
So I want to reassure students that we are test optional across the board, which means we do not require test scores if you're applying for any of our selective programs like nursing or physical therapy or our accelerated programs. We also are not requiring test scores for our scholarships, so don't feel like you need to submit scores for any of those programs.
Text reads, Flexibility around documents. Accepting unofficial documents when applying.
We know that a lot of students have limited access to the organizations that have their documents. Some of those organizations and schools are shut down, and so it might be hard to retrieve your official transcript, for example. And so we shifted to allowing students to submit unofficial transcripts during the admission process with the expectation that eventually you'll be able to get that official transcript before you enroll. But we wanted to make it easier for students to apply during this time and still be able to access everything. We understand that this year COVID may have caused changes to the academic setting at your high school. Classes may be pass-fail, or you may not have access to certain courses that you would have been able to take. So please know that when we review your application, we review it in context of those changes or limitations that you might have had this year. In fact, we always do that when we're looking at different schools and different applicants to review them in the context of your specific high school and your specific circumstances.
Text reads, Impact of COVID-19, extracurricular activities, changes in learning format, financial changes.
So we know that COVID has affected so many aspects of your life beyond your schoolwork. So your extracurricular activities, your responsibilities, part-time jobs. And so we know that when we look at students' applications, we may see shifts in the things that you're doing because you've had more responsibilities at home or you've just needed to do what was best for you. And so we'll certainly take that into account when we review your application. We also know that some families have been affected more severely by COVID, whether that be illness or whether that be a loss of job or other financial strains. And we certainly encourage you to tell us about any changes that your family has gone through and how that might have affected you in this past year. And you can write about those changes in the application. There's a spot that encourages you to tell us more about how COVID may have affected you and your family.
Text reads, Activism. Simmons supports peaceful protesting and civic engagement.
So we recognize that a lot of students have had increased involvement in activism and social justice causes. We believe Black Lives Matter, and we're proud to see students out exercising their freedom of expression and supporting the causes that they believe in, especially now during this time of a national reckoning around race. So please know that if you receive any disciplinary action for peaceful protesting, it certainly will not affect your application.
Text reads, Connect with us. Website, simmons.edu/ug/visit. Email address, ugadm@simmons.edu. Phone number, 617-521-2051.
The Simmons admission team and I are always here to help, so please reach out to us. It helps us to hear what your questions are, and we want to make sure that we're working with you directly on anything that you need for the application process. So please don't hesitate to reach out and get in touch with us, and we'd love to hear from you.
Simmons University Seal. Simmons University, Boston, Massachusetts, 1899. Simmons University.